The sun was barely over the horizon when he first saw her. Standing calmly at the checkpoint, clipboard in hand, a faint smile on her face. To him, she was just another civilian observer, someone who had wandered too close to the edge of a military operation. He stepped forward, suspicion in his eyes, fingers twitching toward his holster. The tension was immediate, palpable, a spark that could ignite disaster at any moment. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're rewatching from. I love knowing who's listening. Her name was General Anika Rojas, though nothing about her demeanor suggested authority. There was no uniform that shouted rank, no medals that demanded attention. She wore plain clothes, and her movements were measured, unassuming. Yet every eye that followed her noticed something else, a precision in how she walked, how she scanned the terrain, how she commanded attention without demanding it. He froze, unsure. Was she a threat, a journalist, or simply an overzealous volunteer? His instincts screamed caution, but something in her calm eyes made him hesitate. She didn't flinch. She didn't retreat, and that was the first clue he would remember. The base was alive with movement behind them. Soldiers coordinating, radios crackling, engines humming, but here at the checkpoint, time seemed to stretch. Every second magnified the tension between uncertainty and judgment. And then she spoke. "Lieutenant," she said softly, almost casually, "you're aware of the protocol for civilians near operational zones?" "Yes." He blinked, startled. Her voice carried authority, not loud, not harsh, but undeniable. He tried to meet her gaze, searching for the hint of vulnerability that might reassure him, but found none. Just certainty. And yet no one could tell her rank from her clothing or posture. Moments passed in awkward silence. He wanted to enforce the rules, but his hand lingered at his side. He wanted to ask questions, but the words felt inadequate. And all the while, the distant hum of the base reminded him that elsewhere, lives depended on orders, obedience, and precision. Suddenly, she reached into her bag and pulled out a small, polished badge. He caught a flash of light, and his heart skipped a beat. "General Anika Rojas," she said. "Now, may I continue?" Shock froze him. His assumptions, his doubts, even his arrogance evaporated in an instant. The woman he had dismissed as a civilian wasn't just an officer. She was the highest-ranking officer on site, entrusted with decisions that could affect every life in the base and beyond. The soldiers nearby turned, murmuring among themselves as the realization spread. Some froze in awe, others whispered incredulously. He felt the weight of his error pressing down like a physical force, and yet there was no anger in her eyes. Only calm, only duty, only expectation that he now finally followed through. She moved through the base with the precision of someone who had spent decades observing, learning, and leading. Commands were given not with volume, but with clarity. Orders flowed seamlessly, every soldier knowing exactly what to do, even when it was clear the situation had spiraled beyond their expectations. The enemy, unaware of her presence, advanced confidently, certain that chaos would grant them an advantage. Mara's mind raced. Every scenario she had trained for came alive in fragments, each more dangerous than the last. Yet she held herself steady, her focus unwavering. The general's presence inspired confidence not through intimidation, but through the quiet authority of someone who had seen the consequences of hesitation and would not allow it here. Then came the engagement. From the ridge above, enemy fighters approached, their movements coordinated, their weapons trained on the base. Mara and the soldiers moved like one organism, guided by unseen hands and quiet instructions. Each shot, each maneuver, each decision carried weight. The enemy faltered, unprepared for the command of someone they had never anticipated, someone who had been hiding in plain sight. Time slowed as Mara watched the chaos unfold. She could see the flicker of fear in the enemy's eyes, the hesitation in their step. And all the while, General Rojas remained a steady presence, appearing where needed, vanishing where prudent, orchestrating survival with calm decisiveness. The climax came as the enemy made their final push. Mara, her nerves raw and adrenaline coursing, positioned herself to hold a critical choke point. She fired with precision, each shot disrupting the advance, buying time for reinforcements to arrive. Dust and smoke filled the air. Soldiers moved in perfect coordination, sweeping through like a tide reclaiming the battlefield. When the last threat was neutralized, silence returned to the valley. The hum of activity died down. Mara lowered her weapon, breathing heavy, heart still racing. Around her, the soldiers gathered, faces awash with relief and newfound respect. And then, slowly, the realization settled in. They had survived because of leadership they had never seen coming. The lieutenant who had confronted her at the checkpoint stepped forward, eyes wide. I had no idea, he stammered. General Rojas smiled faintly. Assumptions are dangerous, she said softly. Remember that next time. The base erupted in quiet applause. Not for the thrill of victory, but for recognition of a truth Mara and the others had known deep down, that courage, authority, and wisdom do not always announce themselves with loud proclamations. Sometimes they wait silently until the moment they are most needed. Later, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the base, Mara reflected on the day. She had seen doubt in eyes, fear in posture, hesitation in hands. Yet she had also seen potential, bravery, and loyalty rise to meet it. And she knew, in that quiet moment, that leadership is not about being seen, it is about being ready. Because courage does not need validation, and true authority does not demand it. It acts, it guides, and it leaves a mark far deeper than any ceremony could. If this story inspired you, leave a comment telling me where you're watching from. Subscribe for more incredible military stories. Remember, never judge someone by what you see on the surface. True strength often hides in plain sight.